I'm just gonna cut straight past the bullshit. If you keep on relapsing, bro, it's not because you're weak or stupid or you're not trying hard enough. It's because weed is still doing a job for you. So the real reason why you're stuck in the cycle isn't because you're actually addicted to the weed. You're addicted more to escapism, right? So weed is just the preferred method to get that escapism. So what do I mean by escapism though? You're trying to numb certain emotions or certain thoughts. Like, let's use emotions for example: loneliness, stress, boredom, shit. When I first started smoking, it was heartbreak, cause but anyways, maybe it's different emotions for you, but those were the ones I was running from, right? So these self-improvement YouTubers, they will tell you, oh, you know, just change your lifestyle, you know, start hitting the gym, you know, find new hobbies, start a business. And this is good advice, but this ignores half of the problem, right? Because habits are only one half of quitting, right? The other half is healing. Just, you know, just learning to sit down with your emotions that you've been trying to numb. So just think of it this way, right? Self-improvement is the yin, but self-healing is the yang, right? So shadow work was a term coined by a psychologist named Carl Jung, right? So he lived around like the mid 1900s. So he was actually a student of Sigmund Freud, right? And what shadow work is basically the practice of learning about the parts of yourself that you numb, suppress, or avoid, right? Subconsciously or unconsciously, so that they stop controlling your behavior, right? This isn't about quitting through sheer willpower. It's about understanding what weed is helping you escape from. And before we move on, I want to make one thing clear. Shadow work is not just journaling random prompts and hoping you feel better. Shadow work is building a relationship with the part of yourself that reaches out for the weed, right? And then integrating it, right? Now integration is going to be a word I'm going to be using a lot for the rest of this video, so just wanted to get that out there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a few shadow work prompts, right? So what I used to do when I was trying to quit weed, I would ask ChatGPT to generate some shadow work prompts, right? And then I would just journal like the answers to the prompts, right? And it helped me understand why I was reaching out for this drug so much. So just pause the video, grab a pen, just do this with me real quick. And before we continue, I just want to let you know that you aren't writing a letter to someone. You're inviting your shadows, this part of yourself that you're suppressing, into the room, right? To have a conversation. This isn't something you rush. This isn't something you half-ass while doom scrolling. This requires your full attention, all right? So I do have the prompts written down just so I memorized the questions. These were some of the questions that ChatGPT generated for me, and these were the ones that really helped me understand what was going on in here, right? So just feel free to screenshot it. I'm gonna post the questions on the video. So what am I feeling before the urge to use it? What does using give me immediately that I'm afraid to feel without? What discomfort does using erase? How do I feel after the high fades? In what way does using delay my real goals? What promise do I break myself each time I use? What fear comes up when I imagine quitting? How else could I regulate these emotions? So after you journal these prompts, you're gonna start to understand how your subconscious views weed, right? But this alone isn't gonna help you, right? Hello. See, now the next step is integration, right? Integration isn't just killing the part of yourself that reaches out for weed. So that's what most people try to do. They think that there's this evil version of them inside their head that just wants to use weed, and they treat this version of themselves as evil. But here's the thing, it's not evil. This part of you isn't evil. This part of you isn't stupid. This part of you certainly isn't weak, right? It is protective. See, now at some point in time, you learn that getting high equals relief. Getting high equals relief from whatever emotion, heartbreak, stress, boredom, loneliness, right? So your entire nervous system has been rewired so that whenever you feel this emotion, it doesn't even have to be a negative emotion, it can be a positive emotion. Whenever you feel this emotion, you just use weed, right? So when you relapse, it's not because you failed, it's because the protective part of you just reached out for the only tool it knows, right? For some kids are playing basketball in my fucking home, in my neighbor's house. So next time you feel the urge, don't immediately resist it, because if you keep on trying to fight this, you're just gonna be fighting a war forever, right? Instead, you just gotta pause for just 10 minutes and ask yourself, just breathe, ask yourself one question. What is this part of me trying to protect me from right now? That's all you gotta ask yourself, right? Is it boredom, stress, loneliness, pressure? What feeling is it, right? So for me, when I was at work, you know, whenever we would get in a rush. It's a hot kitchen, right? So, you know, I'm sweating my ass off, and then like once this rush is over, bro, I just need some immediate relief. So I would reach out I'd ask my coworker, hey bro, you got the Geek Bar? Or hey bro, you got the the Flying Horse or the Muha, which are horrible for you, by the way, horrible. And so what I'm trying to say is that emotion that you feel is the root cause, and then weed usage is just a symptom, right? So the goal isn't necessarily to stop smoking. The goal is to become the type of person who doesn't need to escape, even from constant pressure, stress, loneliness, whatever emotion, right? Because self-improvement will tell you, oh, just build better habits, bro, gym, bro, eat healthier, bro, change your whole lifestyle. And that isn't bad, like I said before, but self-healing will tell you to just replace the avoidance, right? If you can sit with these emotions without numbing yourself for 10 minutes, you aren't only rewiring your nervous system, but you're building discipline, right? That's how you break the cycle, through awareness, through integration, and building a relationship with yourself that used to need it, right? That's why shadow work is so necessary in the sobriety process, right? That's the difference between trying to quit weed and actually outgrowing it.